come to a conclusion and ask you guys for a
Doesn't it
decision.
really bother you when you're the presenter and some executives begin having a little sidebar conversation? It's something that is not only distracting for you as the presenter, but it takes away the attention of the rest of the people around the table. There are some ways to deal with this.
My goals in the meeting with the board are going to be to get their support and agreement to change the way we develop products in our company so that we can be more profitable at the same time that we're more creative. And so I'm looking for them to support some changes in the way we make decisions about what products go into our portfolio, how they move along the product pipeline, and then ultimately which products get released out to the consumer.
In this segment, you'll learn as you refocus the side talkers, it's important to avoid direct confrontation, politely re-engage them, and appeal to your sponsor.
Try and come to a conclusion.
Let's watch now as Andy Billings tries to ignore the executive side talk, only to lose his cool and do a direct confrontation. Clearly a career-limiting move.
So, great for revenues, great for margins, great for our engineering talent. Hey guys, what is so important for you guys to be talking about that you can't be listening to this presentation and make a decision on something so important?
Why don't you just continue?
Well, I'm going to take that as a yes to the proposal from you guys. Are we ready to wrap up?
I think we heard more than enough.
As we saw here, direct confrontation is definitely not the best solution, even though it might feel good in the moment.
You know, I lost my patience with them. I kind of lost the thread with what was going on with them. I obviously didn't get what I had gone in there to accomplish. And so, what's now is really frustrating is I'm not sure how to get that all restarted again. I mean, how do I get it all teed up again and carry it forward? Well, there's a group of about 15 of us that spans across the company trying to move this forward. And so, now I need to go back and tell them, gee, we didn't get the green light. It's not clear exactly how we move this forward. So we've got all of the business units and their participants in the cross-functional team stalled. I really don't think this helped my career at all. Did it set it back? I hope not, but it certainly didn't help me move forward at all. So it's going to be that much harder to get collaboration with those executives in the future.
You can't shush your audience. On the other hand, if it looks like there's a dialogue going on that could be pertinent and relevant to the discussion, there I think it's totally okay to say, excuse me, I just heard a piece of what you were saying. Can you expand on that? Because I want to be sure that we're addressing all your concerns. And I think that's okay. If somebody's just having a little aside about a lunch they're scheduling or something that's not relevant to the presentation, I think you just ignore that for the moment and continue forward, or maybe introduce something like a question.
And what I look for is I know who the decision maker is based on what I'm asking. So if the two people that are sidebarring have nothing to do with my decision that I need, then I don't worry about them. I let them carry on. It's not my place to say anything. And I focus my presentation on the person that's making the decision. Now, if the person that's making the decision is the one that's talking, I may stop for a moment and have a moment of silence to see if they then will acknowledge that they want me to carry forward or not.
So if there are side talkers and I want to be less direct, it's easy enough to put the conversation on the group. So if I'm presenting and I'm speaking at the moment and I see a sidebar occurring, I can find a quick opportunity to pause and do a check-in with the group and say, so does this make sense to you guys? Am I on the right track? Are you believing this? And then it disengages them from their own individual conversation and then kind of makes them part of the group, because now I've asked them a question, and sometimes they'll look like a deer in the headlights. Uh-oh, what'd she just ask? What'd she just say? But at least you've broken it up in a more indirect way and not as pinpointed. I think in most cases they're typically talking about something that was said, at least in the experiences that I've had. And in most cases, it's because they don't agree with something that you said, and it's a piece of sarcasm that occurs, which is very hard because it means that there's either an element of cynicism or skepticism, which can ultimately result in sabotage. And so those I really like to nip. And so I think in a lot of cases it will depend upon what the circumstance is. But I would really try to get them and be part of the group in the most politically correct way.
I don't want to catch her off guard. I don't want to alienate her by calling her out. But I would stop for a moment, and then I might say, Felicia, I could really use your input on this particular issue, and then lay it out. But say her name first. Don't say, I really want input on this thing. What do you think, Felicia? Then you've caught her.
I think if the sponsor or the CEO notices that this is an important decision and we're not getting people's attention to it, then I think it's best for the sponsor to call timeout.
Let's watch now as Andy applies these strategies in dealing with the executive side talk.
Well, as I think you've seen, it's just a really unique opportunity for us to reduce costs and to add something that's really exciting for our customers and get some top-line revenue advantages out of that. And Felicia, I know you've got lots of insights on this particular area. What are you thinking about the proposal?
In general, or what aspect of it?
Well, are you in favor going forward?
I want to hear more about it, but I want to hear more about the issues that you said you were going to talk about in the meeting today.
Okay. That wraps in our international customers. It brings in especially the Asia online business that we know is an area that we're trying to crack. You know, and as Ned, as you and I have talked about, it's going to make a much better utilization of the outsourced engineering component that we've been trying to make as a priority in the company. So, Ned, maybe you can kind of help me and tell me, do you think we're on track in the discussion? And
well, I'm worried that we don't have Steve and Felicia's attention here. You know, I think we've got to decide if we're going to move forward or not. This is an important decision. We all have to agree that we want to spend this money. So if you could just give us your attention for 3 more minutes, I think we can resolve this.
It's very useful to have a sponsor to try to get you back on track, as opposed to you trying to do that yourself, because it ends up being offensive it sort of connotes a little bit of arrogance when you're up there and you're saying, can I please have your attention? And so if you can sort of look to your sponsor to say, if somebody gets off track, can you please bring them back into the fray? Because it really, that ends up working most of the time a lot better.
The second time around, working with my sponsor, I think we got to where we needed to get to in that meeting, which was support and endorsement. And I think what I did better the second time around was just let the executives have their meeting. And when they were ready, they came back to what I wanted to. I didn't lose my patience. I didn't lose my poise. And when the opportunity came around to try and regain their attention, I was able to get it, and we were able to close. Well, I turned to my sponsor for support when I sensed that my time on the agenda could be running out. And so I only had a certain amount of time in front of that group and wanted to make the best use of it. So, I thought at that point it was best to call in some help. I felt wonderful about that meeting, got what we wanted to accomplish, got a support from them to move forward, able to go back and talk to my team about what we can be doing next. And so it's just a big relief, and it's a big satisfaction to, be able to make progress. And, at the executive level, I would take that as endorsement.
The next time your executives begin a sidebar conversation, do what Andy did. Avoid direct confrontation, politely re-engage the side talkers, or appeal to your sponsor. Finally, it may be that your best solution is to get your sponsor to intervene on your behalf to get everyone re-engaged. In the past, those who learned these communication skills did so by trial and error. Until now, there's been no rule book for how to succeed in top-level presentations. Now you have one. C-level executives are very special people. They're demanding, high achievers, and they're constantly in a time crunch. The good news is, when you know the ground rules, it can go your way every time.
When our presenters were clear about their objectives, got to the point fast, and followed the advice from the executives, they got what they wanted.